CIA smuggles drugs while Wachovia and Wells Fargo launder them, then give the proceeds to the owners of the Federal Reserve Bank. Now the IRS takes money out of every single check. Money they created out of thin air and leave you with debt. They want to make you a serf, a slave to their demand. They want to take your life in every way they can. Fluoride, GMO, vaccines, chemtrails, United Nations genocide. The world they show us is not real. This is how they kill and steal. Rothschild, Bundy, Rockefeller, Club of Rome. On the Georgia Guidestones written in stone. Cut through the matrix, awaken to the lies. Do not be hypnotized. We are one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Nema of We Are Change Connecticut, and you are watching Truth Talk News here on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. This week I've been doing a whole series on Chapter 7 of Eustace Mullins' work, The World Order, which covers the foundations, the tax-exempt foundations that were put into place basically to avoid taxes and also influence social control over the media, education, medical, all sorts of aspects of finance. Again, to bring in this new world order, collectivist government, one world government, that will ultimately bring the most horrific tyranny. It's like a combination of all these horrific people, such as Hitler and Stalin and Mao and all of these other terrible, terrible people. That are, you combine all of the people, the genocide of these people, and it wouldn't even compare to the horrors that will come if the New World Order succeeds in its efforts. Eustace Mullins wrote this work in 1985, and I think it's more relevant today than it ever was then. I think that it has more meaning now with the things going on with the banking problems. And you can see how many of these great writers and great artists back even in the 30s, now they're doing a propaganda movie with Hemingway and Gelward, or whatever her name was. They had a relationship, and Nicole Kidman is now playing against whatever the other guy is. Anyway, they're making the story about their love affair, and they're using footage and the fact that he had went to China with her and as a correspondent, and it was an interesting propaganda piece. I happened to watch it, and they're trying to portray people, like Shen Xiaoshek, whatever his name was, in China, as being, obviously an authoritarian, but at the same time, they're leaving it in a nice light. Very weird. I thought the movie was good as far as that. It's like a love story type thing, but this isn't really about a love story. It's about the New World Order, but it's all connected. Again, the spider web of evil that meets in the middle, the bottomless pit. And in this case, with this particular film, since I'm on it, I might as well finish the subject. I found it to be interesting how they portrayed good and evil, and righteousness and liberty, and fighting for freedom against fascism, and how our world in America here has changed so much since these days when these exploits were happening in the 1920s and 1930s with Franco and the Spanish Revolution, and going on into fascism and fighting fascism. how we have not, unfortunately, as a society here in America, have become, unfortunately, numb to the reality that we are becoming a totalitarian country where there are authoritarian measures put against us, heavy crime that has been perpetrated against the American people, a slow breakdown of the family, of morals, and all of these other aspects, a intentional deindustrialization of our country, an intentional dumbing down of our country through the education system, an intentional poisoning of the population of the world. Many, many weird things are happening, and I don't know how anyone can deny these things. When you have somebody eating somebody's face on Saturday, and then on Sunday you have somebody else, that was last Saturday, and then another man, after the face chewing incident, a man in New Jersey freaks out and cuts out his own intestines and throws them at the police. And you can't make this stuff up. The gruesome scene played out on Sunday. Wayne Carter, a New Jersey man who allegedly cut out his intestines and threw them at police on Sunday. The scene played out in Hackensack, New Jersey. Oh, God. After police were called, based on reports that the 43-year-old man was barricaded in his room with a knife and planning on harming himself, according to a local NBC station. The cops kicked in the door and ordered Carter to drop the knife. Ignoring the officer's orders, Carter allegedly began stabbing himself in the abdomen, chest, and legs instead. Attempts to subdue him with pepper spray did nothing and only seemed to enrage him. And that's when he started throwing pieces of his skin and entrails at the cops. Wow. Wisely, the police retreated. They called the Bergen County SWAT team, which was eventually able to subdue Carter and get him to a hospital where he remains in critical condition. No charges have been filed because of the unusual nature of the case. Yeah, it's always, people always stab themselves and cut their organs out, just like in the movies. Is life imitating art? Or they got some bioweapon here, or something from the flu shots, or all these other shots that they just want you to keep getting. Now they want you to get a vaccine against shingles. All right. I don't want to digress too much, but I might as well do a little bit of news. I think, considering that tomorrow night will be I have enough time, I think, to go through the entire work here, so I'll cover some of this news. I think this is an unbelievable story, and there's more. Alexander Kinya ate Cujo Ajayi Cody's heart in Maryland. There's cannibalism going on, zombie apocalypse, quote-unquote, being rumored, man eats roommate, Maryland crime, all sorts of stuff, cannibals, flesh-eating things. Now, in this case, Alexander Kinya, that's Kinyua, I think that's Kinyua, allegedly admitted to killing his roommate, then eating his heart and portions of his brain. These very crazy people, like Dahmer almost. But now it seems they're happening very regularly. In fact, it seems to be consistent and recent, these type of things. In yet another horrifying incident of human flesh eating this week, a student in Maryland allegedly admits to devouring his roommate's brain and heart. The 21-year-old Morgan State University student admitted to murdering his roommate, Cujo Bonsafo Ajayi Cody, who was reported missing last Friday. Cops told the Baltimore Sun. Kenyua's father called police, and when Kenyua's brother reportedly found human remains, a head and two hands, in a metal tin in the basement, the brother and father left the room for a short time, but when they came back, the body parts had been moved and Kenyua was washing out the tin, the paper reported. Officers searched the house and arrested Kenyua. The man allegedly confessed a shocking revelation. Not only had he killed this guy by cutting him up and with a knife and then dismembering him, he ingested parts of the victim's brain and all of his heart. He then allegedly dropped most of the remains in a dumpster behind a church in Dapwa Town, whatever. Joppa Town. It's yet unclear what Kenyua's motives may have been, but he was charged with first-degree murder on Wednesday. Another incident on May 20th, he was charged with first-degree assault when he allegedly beat a fellow student randomly with a baseball bat. Obviously a sick dude, but what's making these people go, like, postal? You know, another film that I watched, I keep dropping this, another film that I watched, again, doing some research recently, was the piece by Michael Moore, Bowling for Columbine. Now, again, it's a very left-wingy piece, and it's all anti-gun and all of that, and confronting Heston and all this other bullshit. But it did raise some interesting things about the fact in the media there are this whole thing with making things, you know, amplifying horrors and all these things. But this is out of control right here. And you have, again, with that film, he was trying to demonize people with guns as if guns hurt people. No, people hurt people. Society's decay is doing this, not the weapons. We need weapons to protect ourselves from these psychotic people because they will multiply as they are. I mean, this is nuts. Now, I'm sort of freaked out over this whole thing. When you know as much as we've researched people in the truth movement, and we know where this is heading and what they're doing, and now to see these type of things happening, like it's one thing, you know, you hear about a nut, you know, these nuts do these things. There are crazy people that eat brains and whatever, you know, they're mental cases, they're psychotic people that have these issues. But when you start seeing these same issues over and over and over and over again, these same events, what happens then? How is it so coincidental? And if it continues, what do you say? Well, it's just society's decay. Well, it is. But I think it also has to do with the chemtrails. I think it has to do with what we're breathing and what we're eating, what vaccines were being given, and the combination of how these chemicals react biologically in our bodies, affecting certain people, targeted bioweapons. I mean, this is a targeted bioweapon, in my viewpoint. And somehow it's just manifesting itself in the population due to some exposure, such as getting a flu shot or getting these shingle shots. Get your shingle shots. Now you drive to Walgreens. Get your shingle shots. All of a sudden, shingles are a problem because everybody had chicken pox. So there's a chance you might get shingles. Holy Christ. Wake up, everybody. So what? You get shingles. Oh, it's a terrible disease and it hurts you. And yeah, but wake up. You always had the same potential of getting shingles because you had chicken pox. It's not changed. The people that have it, and people that don't have it. This hasn't changed. Yet we have people eating flesh and literally going into eating somebody's face who's alive. These people died, but and then you have some guy like this guy throwing his entrails, eating hearts, brains, all in a week. Tremendous psyop, or, well, it's got to be a little combination of both. There's biologicals here that cannot be dismissed. There's just no valid way you could dismiss it. Unbelievable. I'm still freaked out over it. I really am. I mean, I'm just thinking how freaky that is. It's just real freaky. All right. So I had also reported this weird thing that Alex Jones had said that he believes Bilderberg attendees covered roasted babies in goal to eat dead babies. And that seems to be credible too. So I don't know what to think about this stuff. But it is what we're talking about, what we're trying to fight against. Getting the people to understand that things are happening that are not coincidences. There are no coincidences. These are all planned, and there's a purpose and a reason, and it's very menacing and threatening reason. So we have a way of getting through this whole thing, and understanding it is the control through the media. You have an entire generation, now 2 generations of Americans who are just totally mind controlled by the television and cable. And I think, just move this a little bit because I'm getting a shadow. I just noticed it. Sorry about that. That we have a situation that calls for an understanding that everything that we're being shown, we knew this in school. You're given 1,000 images a day, seeing messages from advertisers. Okay. You're on camera about 1,000 times a day, somewhere in surveillance. It goes under that same predicate. It's that same idea. It's going through with all of these many, many things. Images of yourself, voice recognition, facial recognition technology, wireless phone taps, all these things that we know they're doing are now legal because all they have to say is, well, we're doing a terrorism investigation and we believe this man is a threat to national security. National security for a evil regime is despotism. So if you want to protect this country and have real national security, you have to weed out the evil ones, the evildoers, the skull and boners, who have reigned in the War Department basically since the foundation of the cult of evil back in 1832. Funded by the Russell Trust, bringing us back into the trusts, as I mentioned. The foundations, the Peabody Foundation being the first. It went along, the Rockefeller Foundation, Carnegie Endowment, Carnegie Institute for International Peace, all these different places where the Ford Foundation, they did all of these things. Then they created the Federal Reserve to slowly sap the wealth of the American people and the dollar and control the world, basically. See, at this point, there's a lot of confusion as to what's going on, the difference in Europe and the Euro and the Eurozone and all of that. People might not understand that the dollar has a big part of it, and its value is being diminished by design. It has been accelerated in 1973 by being 72 by being taken off the gold standard by Nixon. who then opened the doors to China. And the Rockefellers, of course, got their little central bank there going on, and all the good things happening. And moving along, we have a collectivist world order that has slowly deindustrialized us, while they complain about, I mean, my own father was fighting imports in the 70s, saying, you know, we can't compete because of these imports with China and Hong Kong and all these other countries. Well, yeah, that's right. You can't compete. That's by design. And then all the jobs, yeah, you know, I said it many times, you know, you call your bank and you might be speaking to somebody in India. They have that job. These are jobs Americans don't like to do. Same thing, that whole myth, you know, about jobs we won't do. That's why we need illegal aliens. That's not true. We don't need illegal aliens for anything. We need legal aliens that are willing to do maybe work that certain people wouldn't, that are already established Americans who haven't done that work in the past. And we need that there is a need for that type of labor for farming. And if you're not doing it, you're not doing it. And these people occupy those jobs. Now, the employers are upset because they don't want to pay the federal wages. They'd rather pay these people on the side. It works out. So if you really break it down, Ron Paul has it the best. You know, just get rid of all of it. We don't need to tax any of this shit. So you don't have to worry about your labor. Fuck the Federal Reserve and fuck the IRS. Fuck all of these criminals. That's the truth. That's what we have to say. You know, fuck these people. We have to get rid of their private corporations that are destroying and the Federal Reserve, of course. These are private corporations that are destroying America, destroying our entire ability to thrive by taking all of the labor overseas and in developing nations that they wish to develop. This has been going on. This is no secret. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is reality. So what does that mean? What do? We sit back idly and let these criminals continue to do what they're doing? No, we call them out. And their minions at Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan Chase. That's right. All these big corporations that are paying all this money to Obamni and O'Romney and Obamni and Obama, or they're the same puppets. They're two. You know, they got the Robamni or the Obamra. You know, whatever you look at it, they're the same people. Obama and Romney are cut from the same cloth. Their interests are the same. Their lobbyists are the same. The people that their interests are for, that are giving them money, are the same. Look it up. I'm not making this up. Guess what? It was the same thing 4 years ago. They really think that the American people are so stupid, and most of them are. They're sheep. They're more interested in watching football. Baseball now it's baseball season. You know, they're more interested in going through the sports and watching movies and being like, oh yeah, I'm going to tell you all this trivia about all this and that, and it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit because they're not looking at the real problem. And the reason why, you know, hey, I remember when it was good. What are you going to do? Let me just continue on with my life. Continue going on. What are you going to do? Let them keep shearing you. That's what they do. They shear you. Take away more property, more and more. Each generation, a little bit more and more. Till we will be fine. Till we will find ourselves serfs, complete serfs, dependent upon every resource of the state. And I kid you not, this is why I do this. I mean, I spend a lot of time on this. It stresses me out. I freaked out with my wife today because she moved my camera equipment and stuff while I was getting ready here with the computer. I'm like, this is really important stuff I get out to people. It's no joke. And I freaked out, and I'm sorry, and I apologize. I'm blessed to have the greatest wife on earth. I really am. And I shouldn't have done that. But, I mean, this is real important stuff I talk about. And I don't have much time because my life is very busy. I work 50 hours a week. Plus, I do my truth. Plus, I have a family. And we do things, and we have a life. I tend to a nice garden on my property here. I have a band called Azure Soul, and we'll be going on the road playing. And I have the support of my family, and they have my support. But we are very busy, and I am very busy. And I think I sort of like overstepped my bounds a little tonight, and I apologize, and I'll say that to everybody who's listening. I was really a little stressed out because I had like 5 minutes to get ready for this show. So, I mean, again, we have bankers who have completely stolen the wealth of a great majority of the American people. Through, first of all of the American people, through inflation and through dollar devaluation. So, I mean, this is what we're talking about here. So for every dollar that the Federal Reserve Crime Syndicate prints, it leaves the American people with $1 of debt. And guess what? Those dollars that are all debts, they're debts, right? Leaving you in debt, the dollar. So you get your paycheck and you get paid $1,000 a week. There's your check, okay? They take out your taxes. Your take home is $720. If you got some medical, maybe even less. They take a lot. The Federal Reserve criminals, their collection company, the IRS, withholding tax. The withholding tax is also illegal because it was enacted into law as the result of a conspiracy by persons who concealed their motives and their allegiances. Beardsley Room, who foisted the plan on Congress, told a New Yorker reporter that the withholding tax plan originated at a luncheon of intellectuals at the luxurious Plaza Hotel. He refused to identify any of the other conspirators. Fortune said of him, Beardsley Rural, of pay-as-you-go fame, characterized by Congressman Wright Patman as protecting the first crop of war millionaires, is beyond a doubt one of the most mentally agile and popular men in American history. Like many other interesting personalities, the treasurer of Macy's, chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, an eminent fiscal planner, is far from a simple character. The former dean of social sciences at the University of Chicago, which always plays a role, the University of Chicago, keep that in mind today, Chicago, think about it. Obama, Robomney, whatever you want to call him. Same bird, different wing. So he also later worked for the Carnegie Corporation. Now, these people have worked this idea. Room's idea of the withholding tax is suggested in his book. And basically, the memorial had been funded for a charitable aid to women, but arguing that the welfare of the individual depends on the welfare of the whole society through the organization and $25 million of the funds behind the social sciences. So the former dean, in 1922, the Rockefellers made a 28-year-old Rummel, whatever this guy's name is, Rummel, director of the Laura Spelman Rockefeller Memorial, at $80 million. And the memorial had founded for charitable aid to women, as I mentioned. So it's evident that the progress of science, technology, and education will force important changes in our personal, social, and economic relationships. To meet these changes, governments must change and modify the laws, rules, and regulations under which we live, changing us from just having a free society to having this controlled, closing, socialist, totalitarian society. And that's where it's going. Or I would, again, I have many, many better things I could do than this if I didn't have to. But once I learned, I share the message. And I invite you all to do the same. I mean, anybody listening that's learning this, and I implore you all to research this on your own, find your own truth, and then share it. And do what I do. Maybe you don't have to be having broadcasting 7 hours a week, as I do, but and researching as well, spending maybe another I probably spend 20 hours a week minimum researching the New World Order. If you don't have that time and doing this work, whatever you have, speak what you know, speak what you feel. Or they're not going to let us one day. One day they're going to say, well, no, you just can't do this anymore. This is hate speech. They're going to call it that. They're trying to shut down the internet. We know this, the Cybersecurity Act. We already know what's going on. The government's talking about it right now. They're even talking about how Stuxnet, of course, was a setup. Now these new cybersecurity threats against Iran that the president is outwardly speaking about, and he's saying, oh, this is affecting national security. They want war. They are warmongering, criminal, genocidal psychopaths. That's who the New World Order is. That's why we've had all of these wars. And then these brave soldiers that go to war for corporations, not for the company, for the country, for companies and interests that have nothing to do with our great nation. We are supposed to be protecting, the armed forces are to protect our nation if we are attacked, not to bring us out there and promulgate attacks, put us in places, and to put us in harm's way for the interests of a corporation. That is not patriotism. That is genocide. Because you are killing. They say, oh, well, we lost 6,000 American lives. Well, what about the 1.5 million lives lost in Iraq and Afghanistan since we started this humanitarian mission to free the Iraqi people and to free Afghanistan of tyranny? War is peace, ignorance is strength, freedom is slavery. That's the New World Order. And that's what we're under. The people, I still can't believe it. I watch it. I watch the news reports. I watch the Sunday shows. It's just mind control, numb mind control, as if people really, I think the compartmentalization aspect of it, many of these people really believe, oh, no, there's no way that, these people are nuts, these conspiracy theorists, they're nuts. They don't take the time to look. Because if you were a Christian, or whatever you want to call yourself, a God-fearing person, or person of righteousness and honor, and you learned what was going on, and you continue to learn, and then they'll finally reach a point where you just boil over, and you must bring this information out to the people. If you don't have that in you, then who are you? Well, you're a soulless slug of a human being. That's who you are. And that's what you're doing by just living your sloven life, living like a sloth, and having all of this, all about material things and things that you can get in positions of power amongst yourselves and in your businesses and dealings. Like many people, I was a victim of it. I've been there. I've been there. I've been a slug. But now we have this understanding of what the New World Order is and who's doing it and how it's working. And I keep giving this information to the day I die. I'll give this information. Because it's going to continue. And if we don't stop it, it'll continue on. And we really have to stop this. And there is a way to stop it. It's because the more we bring to light their plans, and the more that we back engineer or reverse engineer their motives and their plans and their operations, and then they unfortunately come true, the more we will gain credibility. However, I fear that they're moving very quickly with all these things, are happening too quickly. Everything has been happening very quickly in the last 2 years as opposed to the last 5. Really accelerated. And we have, again, war is peace. Now we're going to mend the fences in Vietnam because we need to be safe in the China region over there. We have to be over there and be safe. Keep the world safe for democracy. We have Panetta former CIA head of the, now he's the head of the Defense Department. It's just unbelievable. You know, again, Monsanto has Michael R. Taylor is running the show. Former head of Monsanto, vice president of Monsanto, top lobbyist, attorney. Looking for, I thought I had a glass of water somewhere. Just got to think it's over there, but I'll grab that in a moment. I think we'll be going forward here. We have a serious problem coming, and I think that you know, going over this stuff here, we have a long list of proof, a long list of documented evidence of the complicity of these people and how they've moved in our government and what has happened in history. Cyrus Vance, Secretary of State under Carter, all these trustees of the Rockefeller Foundation, he's somebody that people might remember. Vernon Jordan, people might remember. I mean, we're going back, but this is how do you plant the seeds? Seeds go back in time. They don't work like we work. They don't think like we think in the areas. I hope I have a good quarter, or I hope I have a good month, or I hope I have a good year. They think in decades. They think in generations, and they set things up that way, planned that way. So we have this incredible listing of people. Paul Volcker, former head of the Federal Reserve, another one of these criminals. Larry Summers, and all of these guys with their derivatives. Their brilliant Larry Summers, the brilliant Larry Summers, who brought all the misery and the housing crisis. And Clinton going on there when his lies. Just the other day I heard him going on lies. He's back in Bloomberg with his idea about shutting down the sodas, reducing the size of soda. I mean, God in heaven. And he said, even though it may be a natty thing, I think it's important. You know, they just take these positions, and people have to wake up that these are lying crooks, and all they're trying to do is move across an agenda that's going to enslave everybody. And I do think that there's something coming, and it really worries me. The laws that they've passed recently, over and over again, National Defense Authorization Act, 1031, 1032, taking you away, the Cybersecurity Act, over and over again. I mean, there's just so many signs. The Reichstag fire was what brought about the Enabling Act, which is the closest thing to the Patriot Act, which was brought about by the false flag attack on 9/11. It's the same playbook. These Nazis literally are playing the same game, and they are Nazis. I went on air on Saturday speaking with Janet Phelan and Barbara Hartwell, who again is former CIA, and she is been literally programmed at birth to continue into the mold of the CIA, and she broke her programming and got out in 1994. But she was, as a little girl, I mean, things have happened, and she has interactions with people. Sidney Gottlieb, who was a Nazi, was her handler, and she went on record about Operation Paperclip. And it wasn't just scientists, although there was a lot of scientists. It was a tremendous operation that brought basically the highest echelon of the Nazi Party into our government. That's right. Believe it or not. And it's 100% true and accurate. The allegiances between the Bush family and the Nazis are clear and obvious. Prescott Bush, who was the former governor of the state of Connecticut, where I reside here in Torrington, conspired with, basically through the Avril Harriman and the Rockefellers and Standard Oil and IG Farben and others to launder money through the Union Bank, which happens to have a branch to this day here in Torrington, Connecticut. And the Thyssen-Krupp incident, they were busted for doing this, and Prescott Bush got a little slap on the wrist and a little bit of Trading with the Enemy Act issues, and it's all the stuff they never talk about, but of course they can become president. So you have somebody that's funding a fucking fascist country, helping them to succeed, bringing these evil criminals, these sick, sadistic, the worst psychopaths that you could ever imagine, that want to make life like they want to live. Everybody should endure that type of a death, like in a Hostel movie. Okay, they love it. They love pain and misery and blood, and they need it for their satanic rituals. They really need it. They actually need this young blood of the youth that they kill in these wars and everything else, and the satanic ritual abuse of children. And now the bodies that Alex Jones had revealed, that looks to be, oh my God, sick. The children covered in gold, fetuses and babies. Sick stuff. And the zombie apocalypse that seems to be happening right now with all these crazy things. I mean, this is just insane. I mean, it's absolutely either the most incredible psyop on earth or some really crazy shit going on. And I think that it's not a psyop. This is just... we're moving towards this this big event, and they have to, I guess, start it slower rather than a big hit. I don't know if all the chess pieces are in place. I mean, the way you do this is, the way to win, if you've ever played chess, is to not necessarily completely outsmart your opponent or to outmaneuver him or to outthink him or think ahead of him, but it's to strategically position your pieces in such a way that your opponent's not realizing that you're doing this, and while you put them in place, you set up a diversionary tactic to have him thinking about something else that you're doing, maybe moving the horse aggressively or some other pawn, or well, pawns are really usually pretty well used, actually, right? And at the same time, then you really don't strike until your proper pieces are in place, and that's what they're doing. They're putting the pieces into place, and they're getting ready to strike. It could be weeks, it could be months, it could be a year, maybe a little longer. But they can't keep the Ponzi scheme going, and we know the 21st of December is the end of the charter of the Federal Reserve. So this is going to be a very tumultuous year. I mean, we're not even halfway through it. It's only the middle of June. Actually, the beginning of June, excuse me. And we're not even halfway through. At the end of the month, I guess we'd be halfway through the year. And I don't know, all these crazy things are really happening constantly, consistently. And then, of course, the media keeps pushing these movies that they put on TV. I keep watching the cable syndicate, the syndicate, and all the other controlled mainstream media outlets. And it just seems they're promoting right now all these things about aliens and all these things about, anti-gun, or like with the Columbine and other films that sort of amplify science fiction films. There's Science Fiction Channel shows the debauchery of the world coming down. I mean, you have an incredible shift towards debauchery over the last 25 years. I mean, what's acceptable on television, except for example. And again, I was always one of the people that said, I don't think there should be any censorship, and I really don't. But the censorship that they work for, that they look for, is something like they want to censor something like I'm doing, or something like somebody that wants to speak the truth and get the real truth out, and not these lies that these criminals are fabricating for everybody to consume and believe is truth through the mainstream media, television, print, everything else. No. They want to control what you say, but they don't want to control what they tell you. They don't want to be controlled on that. They don't want to be limited. They don't want to be limited on the messages they can give you or the images they can give you. Think about it. It's very deep. I mean, this is really deep stuff. I mean, I can understand why a lot of folks, just dismiss it right away. Because, again, at the beginning of your awakening, if you're going to be awakened or if you're open to the idea of this information, it's overwhelming. You can't go to somebody, like, again, for folks that are maybe more aware, you can't go to somebody in a bar and just start rapping this like this in the manner I'm sort of giving it out, all this information. The guy will look at you like you got 50 heads and you're a nut. No. It's something that has to, like, take root in yourself. And once it does, you start of getting the lexicon, like like everybody that knows me, that are aware, obviously, because they know me. I've made that part of my mission, that anybody I come into my life with, they're going to know who I am. I don't pull any punches. I don't lie. This is who I am. I've been married for 21 years to the same wonderful woman. I have a beautiful son. I have a job, a career, a life. I have ambitions. I have things I'm doing. I'm a human. I'm an American. And I'm defending my rights for my children and for my family and for your family and for my friends. And a lot of them, at first, I'm sure, thought I was nuts and crazy, but slowly came to understand. Some of them still are on the fence or completely, ignorant to the fact that this is the truth. That's okay. This isn't about me being right and you being wrong. Anyone. This is about the truth. We don't like the truth necessarily. The truth hurts, I'm 20 pounds or so overweight, maybe 25. Got to lose some weight. That's the truth. Okay? I don't know. I mean, you can just go down the road with your own thoughts on that. But the truth of the matter is that we are not being told the truth, yet we are being mind-controlled and manipulated to believe their truth, the false truth. And that's the problem. And they've done this very, 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 very craftily, very, very, very diligently, and with very, very surgical precision. And how they did this with surgical precision was by getting these foundations that we've been talking about to work in concert to bring this about. So we have the Carnegie Foundation for International Peace, which is all about bringing about war and helping to promulgate war. We have the Rockefeller Foundation, which is towards the medical and big pharma. And we all know about that. And guess what? All these people, again, like I said the other day, connected with Sloan Kettering, same people that are connected with the making of the atomic bomb, the use of radiation. It became the way that they would control and bring up the costs. And look at the skyrocketing costs of healthcare. That's also by design, and the insurance companies are in on that. And the same comes from all of these lovely people that we're talking about and all these great foundations that are chartered with these wonderful things for world peace and for the health of mankind and for, whatever lies that they state that they are. They invest in other things. We've got them caught. They've been busted many times. In World War II alone, they were caught. Rockefeller Foundation funding money to IG Farben, having all this problems with the Trading with the Enemy Act. This isn't anything new. This isn't anything new. You really have to try to be alert and about this, because they are consistently, as Ice Freedom here is chiming in here on the chat. It's absolutely true, man. The awakening is not immediate. It takes time, and it is a constant process that must go forward. And you got to try to reprogram out all this bad, like as he wrote, the bad code. And that's a good way to put it, because it's like your mind isn't, like, in other words, you've got a computer virus in your mind. The computer virus in your mind is the New World Order and their control grid and their whole propaganda, mind control reality. And now you've got to go and get the computer cleaned out. Clean out the mind. And open it to the truth. And that's why you're watching TruthBroadcastNetwork.com. And coming up in about 10 minutes is Harry Link with Death to the New World Order, bringing across many, many things. I'm sure he's got more to say about Bilderberg and other things that have been going on. Tomorrow, I'm going to continue getting deeply into these foundations, where I have, if I can, keep my mouth shut, I can probably get through it if I don't digress. Tomorrow's show looks like just about enough for an hour broadcast. And I'll go through this because I want to talk about the Brookings Institute. We get into a lot of good things about this. These think tanks like the RAND Corporation, and they're all basically to bring about a world government, to figure out ways to bring out a world government using war and conflict, Hegelian dialectic. That's really important. So it's going to be a tremendous broadcast tomorrow, and I hope that you can all join us. But I'm not like leaving here right now. As I still got about 10 minutes to go. But I think it's going to be really important to get into that, because there's no way I'll reach into this right now. Because if I were to do that, I'd be starting a whole new ball of wax. And so that's what's going to be coming up tomorrow. We'll be going over the Brookings Institute, the Congressional Budget Office, things of that nature, the Russell Sage Foundation, and the way they grew. And other things to have to do with these various foundations that are working in concert to bring about the New World Order. Also, a lot of the money that was sent, the involvement of the major foundations in military and espionage, we can cover that. The MITRE Corporation, the RAND Corporation, as I mentioned, other corporations that are going to be big. Of course, Rumsfeld was President Nixon's right-hand man in Washington for many years, and he's the chairman of the RAND Corporation in 1984, at least he was. So he's a previous chairman. It's a $50 million research budget annually. They just pretty much try to figure out ways to fuck us and take away our rights and bring in the New World Order. That's going to be coming up tomorrow. And if I have time, and I think I do have a little time, since I got 8 minutes, I think this is enough. Since we're talking about this mind control and the manipulation, I think I'll close out moving a little off topic to something called Operation Mockingbird. Now, Operation Mockingbird was a CIA program or a campaign that was used to influence domestic and foreign media. It started in the 1960s, actually 1950s, and it's still actually happening today, obviously, as we know. If it's still called Mockingbird, I'm really not sure, but the concept of it was part of this whole thing of the Wurlitzer, the big Wurlitzer, which was able to control many things from one place. Part of that came into that. The Mighty Wurlitzer, it was called. There's a book written by convicted Watergate plumber E. Howard Hunt, who's just recently passed and actually admitted that he was involved with the JFK assassination before he died, went on record. And the Mighty Wurlitzer, How the CIA Played America by Hugh Wilford. That's the name of the book, and it was from 2008. In 1948, Frank Wisner was appointed director of the Office of Special Projects at the CIA. Soon after, it was renamed the Office of Policy Coordination. It became the espionage and counterintelligence branch of the CIA, and Wisner was told to create an organization that concentrated on propaganda, economic warfare, preventive direct action, including sabotage, anti-sabotage, demolition, and evacuation measures, subversion against hostile states, including assistance to underground resistance groups, and support of indigenous anti-communist elements in threatened countries of the free world. In 1951, Allen Dulles persuaded Cord Meyer to join the CIA. However, there's evidence that he was recruited several years earlier and had been spying on the for years as a spy. According to Deborah Davis, whose book detailed how the media was recruited and infiltrated by the CIA, her 1979 book, Catherine the Great, Meyer became Mockingbird's principal operative. And he had also had some interesting comments here. It appears that in 1977, a Rolling Stone article by Carl Bernstein alleged that one of the most important journalists under the control of Operation Mockingbird was Joseph Alsop, whose articles appeared in over 300 different newspapers. Other journalists alleged by Rolling Stone magazine to have been willing to promote the views of the CIA included Stuart Alsop, who stated, "I'm proud they asked me and proud to have done it." Good for you, Stu, you criminal bastard. Anyway, Ben Bradley, Newsweek at the time, James Reston, New York Times, Charles Douglas Jackson, Time Magazine, Walter Pincus, The Washington Post, William C. Baggs, The Miami News, Herb Gold, The Miami News, and Charles Bartlett, Chattanooga Times. According to Nina Burleigh, a very private woman, that's what her book she wrote, these journalists sometimes wrote articles that were commissioned by Frank Wisner, of course, who was the orchestrator of the Mighty Wurlitzer. Now, the CIA also provided them with classified information to help them with their work. After 1953, the network was overseen by Allen Dulles, director of the CIA. By this time, Operation Mockingbird had major influence in over 25 newspapers and wire agencies. These organizations were run by people with well-known right-wing views, such as William Paley, CBS, Henry Luce, Time and Life magazine, Arthur Hayes Sulzberger, New York Times, Alfred Friendly, a managing editor of the Washington Post, Jerry O'Leary, Washington Star, Hal Hendricks, Miami News, Barry Bingham Sr., Louisiana Courier Journal, James Copley, Copley News Services, and Joseph Harrison of the Christian Science Monitor. Now, the Office of Policy Coordination was funded by siphoning of funds intended for the Marshall Plan. Now, the Marshall Plan, for those that are not aware, was basically was used to help rebuild the shattered remnants of World War II in Europe. It was a big plan. They used the same thing to after World War I. It was called something else, a similar, again, front for the money, where they siphoned off most of it for their purposes and their greed to bring in the New World Order and the One World Government. This is on record. It happened. Again, it's just an amazing fact that this just absolutely occurred. It's been shoved under the rug. Nobody looks at it, and the information's all there for anybody to get. And that's why you just have to do it. Please, don't just watch Truth Talk News here on truthbroadcastnetwork.com and Death to the New World Order. Don't do that. Research. Look at it. You'll find it for yourself, and you'll say, my God, how could they have not hidden this? Because they know. You can't, first of all, you can't hide it. And they know the average person isn't going to look. That's why we have to spark the interest in people. I mean, when I started learning about how much I was lied to, because I was a big history buff, I thought I knew history. I thought I knew history very well. Better than most. And boy, did I have a lot to learn. And we all do. And we're still learning. And being deceived, at times, learning the truth, and moving forward. Because you cannot defend a lie. If you find it to be true, find something that you thought was true to be a lie, I should say. You cannot defend that lie. You have to seek and defend the truth. For without truth, there is no reason. And without reason, there is chaos. And out of chaos comes the New World Order. Thank you. I'm Howard Nema, Truth Talk News, here on truthbroadcastnetwork.com. I'll see you tomorrow night, same time, 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll continue with a little more insights into Mockingbird maybe, but I'll finalize everything on the foundations and how they have worked with Mockingbird and other programs to bring in this collectivist order. God bless you, God keep you, and death to the New World Order.